In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about the new LG TV software update for the C2 and the G2, which is going to be software version 13.30.56. But is this really a new software update? Welcome into the video, welcome into the channel. Hope everyone is doing well out there. What you're looking at on your screen is a 65-inch LG C2 that has actually already been updated to the new WebOS. And what makes this interesting is that the firmware version number that this display is currently on actually released a few weeks ago and has since been pulled offline by LG. In other words, if you go on LG's website, you're not going to find this firmware version number. So let's check it out real quick. I'm going to press and hold the settings button on the remote, go over to support, software update, and you can see here I'm on firmware version 13.30.50, which on LG's website does not exist. And at the time of filming this video, LG is actually going to be pushing out a new firmware version number, which is going to be 13.30.56. Now, I made note in a recent video talking about this particular firmware version number you're looking at on the screen being pulled offline by LG. And the reason why I think LG pulled this firmware offline is because no doubt they were probably fielding a number of chat messages complaining about features on TVs being broken. They probably fielded a number of phone calls, etc. They just got tired of listening to it and just pulled the thing completely offline. And I made note in that video that I expected this software update to reappear for the C2 and the G2 and probably under a different firmware version number. And here we are. So what I thought I'd do to kick off this video is let's go ahead and check for updates and see if the new firmware is being pushed over the air to my display yet. So let's go ahead and click on check for updates. And no updates found. So like I normally do in these videos where the update has not been pushed to my particular display yet, I'm going to go ahead and load up the new firmware file onto my USB drive, and I'm going to go ahead and manually update this TV. And if you're somebody who doesn't know how to manually update your LG display, no worries, I have you covered there. I have a step-by-step video showing you the process. I'll be sure to card that in or leave a link in the description. Stick around in this video because I'm going to do some before and after testing on one specific part of the TV features, and I am very curious to see if this particular feature has been fixed or addressed or anything like that, so stick around. Alright, so for the testing part of this software update video, we're going to be taking a look at gaming, and don't click off the video yet if you're not a gamer, because I think this will be a good sense to show if LG is listening or if they're trying to fix broken features on their displays. But the testing subject today is going to be on the Xbox Series X. I'm here on the Game Pass page, and the first thing I want to do is I want to show you that I'm still on the prior firmware update. So let me press and hold the settings button, go over support, software update, and I'm still on 13.30.50, the update that had been pulled offline. And to get the testing kicked off, I want to show you this broken feature and what I'm talking about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the settings button and pull up the game dashboard here. And the broken feature is right here in the middle. And those of you watching this video that have a C3 or a G3 are probably well familiar with this if you're a gamer at all. But you see right here in the middle, this is where your game genre modes are. And on the C2 and the G2 and so forth, this right here is not grayed out and unavailable like it is right here. But if you're somebody who has encountered this and you can't figure out how to change this right here, I'm just going to show you the trick to get around this real quick. And it's really annoying and this really needs to be fixed. And I'm hopeful that this feature will be fixed in 13.30.56. But to show you how to get around that, let me click on all settings. Everything is tied around the sound here. So you see here I have it on standard. I click on that and you have all these options here, right? Well, let me show you what happens when I click on Game Optimizer for sound. So I'm going to click out of this menu. I'm going to pull the dashboard back up and it magically appears. You know, I can even go ahead and start scrolling the different game genre modes. And as you can see here, it's now working. But what if you don't want your sound to be on Game Optimizer? Let me show you what happens. So I'm going to change this to FPS mode. I'm going to click the back button. I'm going to go back into sound because now I want to go back and change the sound to the way I want it to be, right? So I'm going to go over to select mode. I'm going to go back to standard. I'm going to click out of it. And you guessed it, it has now locked the game genre modes once again, but at least it kept it locked on the mode that I chose. So really what this does is it just creates an extra hurdle here that's very annoying to a person who has a C3 or a G3 that likes to use the different genre modes on there for their different game types. It's a really cool feature that they put in the game dashboard. However, it's been broken pretty much since the release of the C3 and the G3. And that's important to this video because this software update 13.30.56 and even the one they pulled offline, the one before that I have on this display, came with the new WebOS, which means it also brought along breaking the game genre picture modes in the game dashboard. And this is not a problem on the C2 and the G2 on WebOS 22 because my game room display, a 77-inch LG C2, I can pull up the game dashboard. I can change the game genre modes as much as I want. I can just go round and round and round and change it to whatever I want, and I have no issues at all. So this is a very unfortunate thing that has come with the new WebOS that I'm very interested to see with software update 13.30.56. Will that be fixed? Next step from here, I'm going to go ahead and get the update loaded on this display, and let's see if they have finally fixed the broken game genre mode and the ability to change it within the game dashboard. All right, the update has finished installing. It probably took, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes to install. No hiccups along the way, so that's good. Let's go ahead and make sure the display is showing the new firmware version number. So let's press and hold the settings button. Let's go into support, software update, and there it is, 13.30.56. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the second part of the testing from this screen. It really doesn't matter if I'm on the home screen here or if I'm on the Game Pass screen. Let's go ahead and check it out. Let's just press the settings button on here, and here's the dashboard. And unfortunately, it does look like that the game genre modes that you can cycle through right here are still locked behind this stupid audio setting. I'm gonna go ahead and confirm that now. Let's head over to sound, and I do have the sound still on standard. Let's go ahead and switch it to Game Optimizer, back button, pull up the dashboard again, and it's now unlocked again. So very unfortunate here that if you are a viewer of my channel and gaming is high priority to you, maybe even it's one of the main reasons why you bought a C3, a G3, or even the C2 and the G2, and you've already updated to the new WebOS, and unfortunately it does look like the ability to switch through the genre modes through Game Dashboard that can be found on WebOS 22 has still not been fixed with the newer WebOS. So that's an unfortunate thing, but I would like to test out this functionality on the 2024 lineup. So I'll be looking to pick up either a C4 or a G4. So if you're not subscribed to the channel yet and you're interested to see my testing on the C4 or the G4 to see if these sort of functions are working properly finally, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell. You don't want to miss that content. So if you're someone who's here that has a C2 or a G2 and you're here to learn what comes with this new update, don't worry, I'm going to have the update details in the back part of this video, so I do have you covered there. But I do want to make note of one other thing while I'm here, is that the testing is not done here with how the new WebOS interacts with the C2 and the G2. I'm also going to be doing testing videos showing you how the dimming has changed. Considering my game room display is a C2 that has been pulled completely offline, it's currently on firmware version 04.40.93, which was the last software firmware version number that LG pushed out that did not come with the new WebOS. So I'm going to be keeping that TV completely offline. That way I can show you the differences between things like gaming, dimming, how it performs in certain content. I'm going to be showing you the differences on the performance between the prior WebOS that they were on that runs on that display versus the new WebOS that can be found on the C3 and G3 and so forth. So stick around for that content as well. But up next, let's go ahead and dive into all the details that came with software update 13.30.56. All right, we've made it. Time to check out what comes with software update 13.30.56. And I want to go ahead and open this up by talking about the very first bullet point. I actually moved this up to the very top because it's a topic that I've seen show up on some of my prior update videos. And part of the reason why I make these update videos is so that I can show you some of the good and some of the bad that comes with these updates. And that should allow you to make the decision on whether you install the update at all. So the very first thing I want to talk about for the update notes is downgrading to the previous software version is unavailable. Let that sink in for a minute. Once you go ahead and install the update, or if you have your display set up in a manner that it automatically updates it, once that happens, you're stuck with it. So be mindful of that moving forward when you do your software updates. But that's the very first topic that I wanted to address on this update notes. But after that, you see the staple of LG updates, which is going to be improvement. If you watch my channel, you know my feelings on that. I know there's a lot of text on the screen, there's a lot of bullet points on the screen, but I'm going to summarize this update for you in two main things that I've noticed here that I think are going to be the most notable changes if you haven't updated yet and you're thinking about doing it. Number one, of course, is the new WebOS. And number two is going to be the new quick menu. So if you have a C2 or a G2 that's on the prior WebOS, what you'll know is that when you press the settings button on your remote, it's going to pull up a side panel that just has a column list of things that you can edit, but it's really not well organized. It's not very pretty to look at. It's not great to use, to be honest with you. And I think the new quick menu that came with the C3 and the G3, I think it's much improved and it's much easier to navigate, much easier to look at. This is a big improvement in my opinion. And of course, the new WebOS, in my opinion, brings more bad than good. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't want to turn this video into a different topic or go on a tangent here, but you could check out some of my recent videos and get a quick idea of why I think moving to a new WebOS with the way they design things is actually not preferable for me. So that's going to do it for this video. If you did enjoy the content, I highly encourage you to hit the like button. It really helps out my channel and it doesn't cost you anything at all. And of course, if you're new, you're not subscribed yet, hopefully you've seen enough in the content today to go ahead and click that subscribe button. And if you do click that subscribe button, be sure to click that bell notification so you don't miss my future uploads. But with all that being said, until the next one.